Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today in ProQuality community. My name is Vyacheslav. I will be moderator of today's session, where we will talk about very hot topic: QA engineer interview from application to acceptance. I believe that this topic is quite familiar for each of us, as everyone has participated in the interview process at least one time and know for sure how it's stressful. And I'm very delighted to see here Yauheni Liashko and Sulauka as our speakers, QA professionals who will help us delve deeper into the aspects of interview for QA position and cover the topic about technical interview and project interview and their main differences. Yauheni, Denis, it's great to have you here in ProQuality community.
Thank you very much. So let us a bit introduce ourselves also. So my name is Denis. I'm from Minsk. I'm software testing manager, and I've been working in IT for almost 12 years. And currently, I've been playing role of head of community delivery in Test.io. It's one of EPAM departments. I'm certified technical interviewer, and during my career, I had conducted more than 300 of different interviews. And also, I've been playing a role of mentor in EPAM interviewing service, and it means that I've been responsible for quality of our interviewers in the company. And in addition to that, I've been playing role of resource manager, so I'm strongly dedicating to grow people in the company. And of course, I'm also the person who's been participating in the hiring. So that's why in most of cases, I'm on the one side of the interview. But today, I'll give you advices how to be effective on the other side. Evgeny?
Thank you, Denis. So let me introduce myself. My name is Yevgeny. So I have about 10 years in software experience in software testing. I act as a mentor, as a lecturer, as a resource management manager, and testing team lead. The same as Denis, I am certified technical interviewer and mentor at EPAM, and I participate as an expert and committee head in our assessment process. And overall, I have about 100 interviews. So, I guess we can start now with our
Yeah,
event.
Yeah, and before we start, before we delve into the main part of our topic, dear audience, please feel free to ask any questions that you have via our YouTube chat, and we will address them in the end of the session to our dear speakers. So, without further ado, let's get started. And Yauheni, over to you again.
Thank you, Slava. So let's get back to our agenda. So first of all, we will discuss general technical interview. So which happens when you apply for some job position and so on. So then we will shortly review performance review, meeting or process. Then we will cover project interview in details, and we will have, of course, Q&A session at the end of this session. So let's get started. Um, Talking of technical interview, we will cover some expectations from a modern QA engineer, CV, some specifics of technical interview, and I will provide some tips and tricks that will increase your chances to get your job. So, expectations from a modern QA engineer. First of all, I would like to highlight that while preparing these slides, I tried to collect some skills, some things that are general, that are common for any level. I mean, for junior engineers, for senior engineers. So this is something that is now trending, this is popular, and will increase your chances to get your dream job. So first of all, T-shape Q engineers. It is not new. We all know that qualified T-shape Q engineers are always appreciated. If you can do some manual job, you can at least partially automate your application and so on. So that is great. That will improve your work. That will improve the quality of the product and so on. So this is always appreciated by the clients, by the customers, and so on. The next point is here is codeless automation tools. So I believe you've heard about it because such tools appeared several years ago, and now they're becoming trendy and they're becoming popular, I would say, because even more and more clients decide to use such tools to cover their needs and so on. So if you have such, there are a lot of tools on the market. Codeless automation tools. So, and if you have such experience, such skills in your resume, that will definitely help you to find your job and increase your chances to get it. Then automation skills. It is also not new. Automation skills are always appreciated because they are hard to get, much harder than manual automation skills and so on. So we possess these skills in any programming language. So again, this is much appreciated and needed on the market in the companies, and that will increase your chances. The next point here is uniqueness. And by uniqueness, I mean several things. So the first of all, if you possess some unique skills that will highlight you among other applicants, other candidates. Then if you have some unique domain knowledge, for example, if you have experience or skills in healthcare domain, so this domain is quite specific. In it, it requires this like domain knowledge. So if you have this experience and skills, again, you are like more unique engineer. And some certifications. I know that some clients, some companies require some certification, and they can be a must for applying to a job. There are lots of certifications in different directions. And for example, we all know or heard about ISTQB certifications for key engineers and so on. And one more point on this slide is artificial intelligence. I I'm pretty sure that everyone has heard of it. Many of us have already tried it and so on. So here it's really becoming popular and trendy. And there are two aspects that I would like to highlight to you. So first of all, it's quite good if we are AI supported QA engineers. What I mean here, it's no secret that modern AI tools, they can do a lot of things like review requirements and find some mistakes. They can generate some checklists, test cases, even help with creating bug reports, and to do other like stuff that a regular QA engineer does. So if you are using AI in your job, so that will speed up your work, that will help to produce more valuable artifacts and so on. So this is the first aspect. And the second one is ability to test generative AI solutions, because again, there are a lot of them on the market and they also needed to be tested. So if you know how to do it, if you have this experience and skills, it is interesting to you. So again, I guess that will also help you to get your job. Okay, let's move on. On this slide, I provided some hard skills that again common for any level, I guess, and they're required for any engineer, QA engineer. So first of all, this is a confident knowledge in testing. So you need to know approaches, methodologies, levels, and so on. You need to know specifics of defect identification, reporting, test documentation, like test plan, test strategy, test case, bug report, and so on. Specifics of requirements analysis. So all these points are quite a must right now for a QA engineer. Then we need to have a technical background to know how to work with databases, some formats of data like XML or JSON. Um, we need to know what is web services and how to test them properly, because in the current world, web services um, surround us everywhere. So we need to know how it works and how to test it, and also some knowledge and skills in cloud. Nowadays, there are a lot of providers like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and others. So, and nowadays, many clients, many applications are stored like are hosted in cloud. They are moving from on-premise to cloud. So, if you know how it works, how to test such applications, what problems may arise, what bugs are usually happen, uh, and so on. So again, this will definitely improve the quality of your CV. And working in different methodologies, of course. Nowadays, I guess most of us work in Agile, Scrum, Kanban, and some other methodologies, and you need to know what it is, what processes they include, how to work in accordance with those processes, how to work efficiently within the team, and so on. So again, this is a must, I guess. And soft skills. Nowadays, it's no secret that IT sphere testing domain is changing a lot, and new devices, new technologies, new languages. Um, so everything is new, and we need to learn it like almost every day. So learning is a part of our daily work, I would say. So if you are not able to learn, probably you will not succeed in this sphere. So learning ability, again, is a must. Then I believe nowadays many of us work remotely from our homes and so on. So self-organization and time management are also really necessary skills. No matter if you are a junior or senior engineer or lead engineer. So of course, some junior engineer will help his organization and so on. But still, even a junior key engineer should possess these skills. When it's quite good if you have an ability to work independently and within the team. So again, it will increase your chances because there are different products, different teams, and if you can work in any setup or team setup, so again, it's quite good for you. We need to be responsible, have good communication skills, and should possess good English level. I would say it's a must nowadays. The but of course, if you work for some local company, for the local client, maybe it's not maybe that required. But still, if we are talking about some big companies, big um, so multinational countries and teams, so English is used like everywhere for communication, for documentation, and so on. So it's a must. And the higher position you apply for, the higher English level you must have. And for managers and leading engineers, of course, leading and managerial skills are also required. Okay, I guess we can move on. So here I would like to talk a little bit about CV that we usually prepare, why we apply for some job and so on. On the slide, you can see the list of what is usually included in CV. So while preparing your CV, please you can refer to this slide, this information, and to check whether you included all the information, all the required information. Because I know that many candidates forget some things, especially if they are preparing CV for the first time and so on. They forget to specify some contact information, their levels of languages, and so on. So everything is quite important here. And one more point here, despite that we have a lot of points to include in our resume, so try to keep it short actually. I would say that 2 pages are maximum. So we need to keep it short, but include the necessary information, information that will help you and the recruiter and the interviewer to, to conduct an interview, and that will also increase your chances to get your job. So let's talk a little bit about interview types. And the first type here is screening interview. So usually it happens like a short call with the recruiter when you share some information about yourself, your interest, for example, for this position or company. You provide your CV. If everything is good and you can like proceed to the next step, you can define time and place for the technical interview. So, and te- so basically a technical interview. There are also different types of technical interview. It can be for the job position when you apply for some like job position in the company, but you don't know what will be the project. And it can be technical interview for the project position when it's already a particular position on some particular project. So, and again, project interviews we will cover also today in today's session. um, Structure of the interview actually it's quite it can be different, but still it has some basic moments. So usually it starts with introduction, which takes like 3-5 minutes, when agenda is introduced, some basic rules and so on. Then opening happens when you have a chance to introduce yourself, uh, and to show that you are interested, why you are here, what job you're looking for, and so on. You can highlight your past experience, your project skills, whatever that you need to focus. And then happens the main part called discussion, when experience and skills of the candidate are discussed. It can have an English check if the interview is conducted in a native language and so on. And the closing part, when a candidate also can have some questions to the interviewer, provide some feedback if necessary, and so on. And type of questions, because I'm also often asked like what interviewers are asking during interviews. So generally, it all depends on the interviewer, because he makes up his questions based on his experience, your CV, and so on. But still, there are some basic parts. For example, testing fundamentals. Uh, so when you discuss like process of testing methodologies and so on, it can have theoretic questions and can check your usage, whether you have this experience already. Then some technical part happens, and here um, I discussed usually technical skills. I discussed that were specified in your CV. So here I would say you can use your CV as an instrument. So what you specify in your resume, that you will be asked during the interview. So you have a chance to focus the interviewer on what you are good at. Then you also discuss software development, life cycle, methodologies, models, and so on. Again, English check if necessary, soft skills, but we need to understand that many soft skills are checked without even without questions. For example, stress resistance can be seen like at once, yeah, in and so on. Then interview can have some situational questions, then can check your both soft and hard skills and so on. So anything can be included in the interview. Again, it depends on the interviewer, how he prepares his list of questions. Okay, and some tips and trips. I believe that you can find a lot of tips and tricks on the interviews. Many you've heard some of them from different speakers, webinars, and so on. I tried to gather some tips and tricks that are quite helpful from my perspective. And I see that many candidates that interviewed, they forget about these things. So I decided to highlight it here for you. So the first point is don't panic and be positive till the very end, actually, because there were cases when candidate, for example, could not answer one question and they started panicking and so on. So believe me, if you don't answer one question, that doesn't matter at all. So because we all can forget some things, we may not know some things and so on. So one questions doesn't mean anything. So don't panic and be positive till the very end. Then you need to show your interest and motivation. And trust me, if you are not interested, you are not motivated to get the job, of course, that will significantly decrease your chances to get your job. Uh, Especially it is required for junior engineers, because juniors usually they have like no experience or little experience, so their interest and motivation are crucial here. Because if the junior is not motivated, not interested, and has no skills, so basically he's no um, like chances to get this job at all. The next uh, tip here. So, as an interviewer, I am always also often asked, like, can I do something during the interview? Can I answer this way or not? And here I suggest you some technique called like trade the roles. For example, let me provide you an example. If you are thinking of some answer to the question and you are not sure it is a good answer or not, try to trade the roles. What I mean, imagine that you are the interviewer and you get this answer. Would you be satisfied or not? So, and in this case, if you think that if I would get this answer as an interviewer, I would not be satisfied. So probably the real interviewer will also be not satisfied here. So usually these techniques like helps in many situations and so on. And review the feedback. Of course, we usually review the feedback if it's negative. We see what was wrong, what we failed to answer, for example, and so on. But please don't forget to review also the positive feedback, because in my practice, good interviewers, even in positive feedbacks, provide some recommendations. They and try to help this candidate to grow even more, to increase skills, provide some suggestions for the career path, and so on. So please don't forget to review the feedback, both positive and negative, and never give up. Okay, we can move on to performance review meeting, and here I will shortly like describe its specifics, because you know this process can be named differently in different companies. For example, we call it unified assessment. Some companies call it performance review process, and so on. It can have even a different name, and so on. So it is declared on the slide. The process may differ from company to company. It is internal process because it happens for the employee, not for the candidate from the market. But still, we need to keep in mind that despite it is an internal process, it is still formal. In my experience, I had such employees who passed like performance review process, and they did not take it seriously because they thought, why should I prepare? It's my colleagues, it's my manager, we have good relationships, so I will not prepare, everything will be fine. So no, we need to keep in mind that this process is still very formal, and we need to be serious to prepare for it, prepare documents, act accordingly, and so on. So usually this process requires some specific list of documents, which can differ again from company to company and so on. It may be based on personal development plan. When you discuss your goal achievements, you provide some evidence for it, you discuss your previous agreements, have you reached them or not, and so on. And usually it's a milestone in a career path that may lead to promotion but may not. So again, but still it's a milestone. Okay, I guess we're done here, and then now we're ready to cover project interview. And here I would like to pass my word to Denise. Denis, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Yevgeny. Thank you. I will tell you a bit about special type of interview. It's project interview. And here in this area, I would like to focus on the differences, what makes the difference of the project interview and the other types of interview. And I will focus on format and participants because here the difference starts. Also, we will discuss a bit the specific of the project interview as the separate flow, and also some tips and tricks how to be effective during such kind of interviews. And if we will talk deeper about the format and participants of this interview, we need to jump in to the situation when such kind of the project interview becomes actual. So let's move to the next slide. And a lot of companies that are pretty big, like EPAM, like Google, Amazon, or Facebook, for instance. When they hire people, they do not perfectly understand in the very beginning which project suits the best for the person. So it means that the pipeline of hiring the people contains several continuously stages. The first one is the company interview, when you show your previous experience, when you show what you can, what you had in your background. And the second stage is the project interview, when you need to prove that your skill set and your profile perfectly suits to the needs of some specific projects. In a lot of cases, when the company is small and when the company has one or two projects, the company interview can be combined together with the project interview. But when the company has a lot of projects, especially such kind of practices terribly popular in outsource world. So I would say that in this case, the project interview becomes a separate stage of vetting the candidates. And of course, the goal of the interview is other. That's why the format and participants also differs. In most of cases, such kind of interviews are conducted in English. Again, that's the specific of the IT world, that the English is the internal language of the communication in the IT world. It's the most popular international languages, one of the most popular international languages actually. So that's why if you even pass the first step of your vetting in your local or native language, the project interview in 99% will be in English. Why it makes difference? Because you can be limited in your reserve of the words. You can be a bit limited in your impressions. And of course, if your English level is not perfect, you can have some troubles when you tell something about yourself. Because when you tell something about yourself, you need to show yourself the best. And English is not native language can bring you some limits in that. The second specific is that the project interview always has really limited time slot. In absolutely most of cases, it's 1 hour. And in most of cases, again, it's enough to understand if the person suitable for some project or not. And if we're talking about the hiring interview to the company, I would say that usually it takes much more time because it covers much more topics. For instance, organizational part is always missed in the project interview because that's not something that project representatives are interested in. They don't care about what is your type of contract. They don't care about how fast you can start work. It means that you are already candidate for some specific position on some specific projects. And in absolutely most of cases, it will be something urgent. So it means that if you will pass the interview, you will start work in a few days or in a week. So that's why the organizational part that includes a lot of paperwork questions, your previous background checks, and so on and so forth. It's not something that is necessary for such kind of interview. And of course, This interview introduces the new role structure, because when we've been talking about hiring interviews at the company, in most of cases, the company is represented by HR or talent acquisition specialist and some technical specialists who've been conducting the technical part of the interview. There are also setups when just the tech lead is enough to conduct the interview because the person is qualified enough or certified to discuss also HR topics. For instance, when I conduct interview to hire some people in EPAM, I'm the only one representative of the company, and I can cover both organizational part and technical part. But on the project interview, the role structure is a bit different. And on the next slide, I will tell you a bit more about the roles that are presented on the uh, project interview. So let's please switch to the next slide. Here appears the new role that we call customer. That's some representative of the project, of account, of the company who is interested in the staffing of the new specialist. And when we talk customer, in most of cases, we imagine that it's some kind of really business person. It was actual 10 years ago when I started, when we had some kind of project interviews. Usually customer was responsible just from business perspective of the discussion. And in addition to the customer, also on the interview, some technical lead was presented. So it's a special person who is responsible for checking of your technical skills that are suitable or not suitable for the project. But right now the trend is different, and more customer representatives, more and more customers, more and more business owners, more and more decision makers are pretty Tesha people. It became actual because the Tesha knowledges became more easy acceptable. And to be on the top in the modern IT world and in the modern any enterprise world, you need to be Tesha enough. So that's why in a lot of cases, the customer and technical lead from the customer side is the combined role, but still it can be set up when decision maker, the customer, is presented on the project interview together with the technical lead who actually asks questions, who actually verifies your technical skills. And if you've been representing the company, you may have the advocate. I call this role advocate. That's some kind of representatives from the company side who goes to the interview together with you, just to support you, just to introduce you. It may be project manager, delivery manager, or HR who just trying to sell you to this specific project. This person is important because it can break the wall in the very beginning of the interview between candidate and the interviewee, because in most of cases HR, project manager, delivery manager is the person who is contact with customers, so they can make the atmosphere more friendly and break the wall in this communication. And of course, if the candidate did not catch something, cannot understand the question, the advocate can help and support during the interview. Ask to reformulate, navigate the answer to the proper direction, or do any other kind of support. Also, of course, we've been living in the online world and in the remote work mode. So it means that some technical issue may also appear, right? And the advocate is also the person who can support the interview flow when something goes wrong with the technical aspect of that. So that's it about the roles. And right now, let's talk a bit about some project interview specific. This is interview that is always experience oriented. We already mentioned during our first part that one of the necessary parts of the technical interview is checking of your knowledges. Knowledges is something that you know. Experience is something that you can do. And during the project interview, it's not interesting to the project representatives what you know. It's interesting what you can. So that's why here we usually suggest to all the candidates during the project interview, focus on your experience, something that's on the end of your fingers, something that you did and you did it, it means that you can do it. If you worked with some specific type of testing, it's necessary to mention it, how you did it, right? So not only what you did, but also how you did it. So it's all the shows your experience. And of course, the areas that will be covered during such kind of interview are limited to the project technologies and project needs. If we've been talking about example of the difference between project interview and general technical interview to the company, if the project has no accessibility testing, if the project has no API testing required, it means that you will not get questions about that. If you've been hiring to the company and they are on the interview, they will ask that because potentially they did not know which project you can be applied yet. And they can ask you about all the scope of your knowledges and experience to understand which project may be suitable for you in the future, or do you accord to the high company standards at all. But that's not the case with the project interview. Here you will get questions and project tasks or technical tasks only about the areas and knowledges areas that are applicable to this particular project. And of course, the goal of the project interview is different because here the main goal is to understand is the candidate suits to the team that he or she is planned to work in. When we talk about the most of the project interview, that's the stage when the project setup is already clear. So it means that some key person already exist on the project. It means that maybe some leads are staffed, and it means that you will take place in some already staffed team. And of course, it's important that you should not suit just based on your technical skills, but also on your soft skills. If you are communicative, if you are super active and even proactive, and if the setup of the team supports such kind of personality, it means that you also can suit to the team. So it's the advantages for that you can show during this interview. But in case if you are super active and proactive, you've been looking for a lot of communication, but the team does not work in such kind of methodology like agile and does not have a lot of communication, when we've been looking for a person who should work independently and be like self-managed part of the team, so maybe it means that you do not suit by some kind of soft skills. So here it's important to understand that you will take some place in the team that is already staffed. And one of the important goals of such kind of interview is to check if the person suits the role and the place that he or she should take. Of course, if we have such kind of specific, the tips and tricks that you can use are also a bit different. And if you've been talking about your previous experience, and if you are trying to apply to the doer position, it's always important to mention what you were able to do versus what we were doing, because it shows your input, your attitude, your dedication to the success. And when you apply to the project interview, it doesn't matter what you as a team were able to do. For project, it's important what you as an individual contributor will bring to the project. It's significantly important to be honest because you've been representing not just yourself, you've been representing a company. You are part of the company that been trying to staff you for some specific project. And if you try to bring some light to an interview, and if one day this light will go up and will be shown to all the project, it's the reputation risk for all the company and for all the people who do the best to staff you to this project. So that's why it's significantly important to be honest, and also considering that if you've been passing interview not in your native language, like for instance you are from India and you've been passing interview in English, sometimes it's even harder to lie in not native language because it's additional emotion, it's pretty stressful situation. So to be perfectly honest is necessary during such kind of interview. You need to show readiness to learn, and it's really important to show that if you do not know something that is used on the project, it's not a big deal for you to learn and study that. How to show it? You need to show that you previously had experience of fixing some knowledge gaps during work on your previous projects. Yes, I had the same situation previously when I should learn how to use some kind of tool, and it was not a big deal for me. I was able to pass some kind of course to get practice, and at the end of the day, I was able to successfully apply this technology. So show your readiness, but when you just say, hey, I'm ready to learn, you need to prove it and prove somehow from your previous experience. If you've been looking for particular contribution, it's significantly important to understand how you will be valuable for this specific project and how you will make the difference for this project, why you are better than the other candidates for this particular role. So that's why you need to show your best qualities that are applicable for this particular role. And if this role requires some kind of specific testing, you need to show what makes the difference in your experience with all the other potential candidates. Yeah, you can be experienced in API testing, but hey, all the other candidates are also experienced in API testing and they had used Postman, they can understand how to work client server infrastructure and so on and so forth. But if you had some kind of game changer or difference, for instance, you are able to create complex and pretty flexible collections in Postman to automate the API testing. You can work with variables, show it, prove it, and consider it as the difference that will make you much more valuable than the other candidates for this particular role. Please be terribly careful with the details you've been sharing because, again, you've been representing some company when you are on project interview, and it means that all the information that is hidden by some kind of NDA or another policies should not be mentioned during the interview. Be careful with mentioning of project name or customers' names. Please be careful with mentioning of some specific tool set that you used. If something is hidden by the NDA, that's absolutely fine to say, hey, I was working on such kind of project related with this area, but I cannot name you the customer because we just hide it under the NDA. Of course, if you can bring and you should bring the difference to the project, please show how you strive for excellence. Actually, that's one of company when I've been working values, strive for excellence. But I believe that strive for excellence is important in all the IT world, and every IT engineer should strive for excellence, of course, considering a lot of technical opportunities that all the companies around give us. If you jump to some position and you understand that you can not just do your work that is required based on the position description, but also bring something from your previous experience, do that and show it during this particular interview. You can ask some question, understand how it's going on the project, and of course, say, hey, I can do it better. I know how to increase the productivity. I know how to enhance this. I know how to integrate artificial intelligence or some um, kind of the modern technologies to your project. I already know how to do that. And believe me, customers like that. Customers like when the people are in passion with technologies, when they are in passion with your project, when they are interested in what you've been doing, and when you understand how you can bring the value and more value and make the difference to the project. And of course, ask questions. it shows you're interested, it allows you to understand all the project context, and of course, it allows to clarify if you can be even more valuably than the customer thinks about you. So ask questions. And actually, that's a call to all our audience as well, because we've been moving to the Q&A session. So let's wait for your interesting questions that I hope me and Yevgeny will be able to answer.
Guys, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, tips, and tricks from your own experience. And before we move to the Q&A session, I kindly ask you, our audience to scan QR code that you can see on the screen. You will be redirected to our event page where you can rate our event and give badge to our dear speakers if you enjoyed our session today. So let's proceed and move to the Q&A session. We have got a lot of questions, and I see that a lot of discussion happens right now in our chat. So uh, looks like the topic is very, very relevant in today's world and what is happening right now in our IT industry. So, and the first question is, what are the key ways to win the competition among hundreds of candidates on junior QA positions? So, Evgeny, can you please summarize one more time, maybe based on your part of today's session?
Yeah, sure. So it's true. The competition is really strong nowadays, and it's really hard to get a job as a junior QA engineer. I would say that what will help you, it's a set of things. We can't say that if you have good soft skills, you will get the job. It's a set of some things, some ways. You need to do your best to prepare a really good CV, to show your interest and motivation, to get some at least basics experience and to provide it during the interview and so on. So getting the first job as a junior is always hard, but now it's harder and we need to take every single chance. So what you can do is to show that you are really interested, you want to learn, and you want to get this job. I would say that's it.
Thank you, Evgeny. Let's move to the next question. ISTQB advanced levels, yeah, certification. Does it still make sense? What do you think, guys?
I would say yes. And the first value that I see from the passing of this advanced level is to bring all your testing knowledges in order, because you should prepare, you should pass the certification, and you will renew a lot of things that you already forgot, believe me. The other thing that still a lot of customer require ISTQB certificates as the proof of the tester's level. That's still trend in European countries and for European customers. United States customer rarely ask for this kind of certification, but in most of cases, it's not the game changer, but it's the additional point in your CV that can make difference and finally help you to bring you to the good project or to the new job opportunity.
Yeah, it's not only a piece of paper, it's just the opportunity to get some additional knowledge. And I can add also that when you pass a STQB certification, you will learn some terms that is used there. So, and they can be quite different compared with the terms and some processes that are in your own company. So that's a good way to see wider. Definitely makes sense, I think. Yeah. If you have time and if you're interested in it. What certificates would you recommend besides ISTQB?
Any cloud certificates. So Microsoft Cloud, Azure Cloud certificates, any levels actually, Amazon as well, Google certificates. So that's something that right now may be useful during your plans, because if the project or company works a lot with the technology and you already have proved experience of usage such kind of technology, it's something that can make your profile more competitive.
Okay, thank you, Dzianis. Let's move on. We are seeing where clients are requiring developer, coding, scripting skills for testers, classifying these jobs as that or system engineer in IT, or maybe security engineer in IT roles. Not actually not
Software
as
engineer in testing
in
roles.
test probably, yeah, maybe in test. So not as just QA roles. Do you see this trend?
I would say yes, but in most of cases, the level of coding or scripting skills is not so high as it's required for software developer in test or software engineer in test or developer or DevOps, for instance, right, for some specific technology. So I would say that good basis of knowledge in some programming languages is for sure advantage. Good knowledge of even scriptless automation is also significant advantage. But if you can jump into some automation tool, if you can write simple script to make your life easier, if you can bring additional value to understanding of the code structure on your project and so on and so forth, it's something that makes your profile more competitive. So I would say that yeah, for software developer and test or software engineering testing, that's something that's required. You require pretty developer level of coding skills. But talking about the QA role, it's not required in a lot of cases, but that's something that makes the profile more competitive.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to the next question. How can I get AI testing experience if my project is not connected with it?
Jenya, would you like to answer?
Yeah, I would say that we can all use some AI chats, for example, not only for work, but in our lives outside the work, because they're quite helpful and can really help with many things. And we can learn how to make proper prompts to AI chats and so on. And again, as I mentioned in the presentation, we can be AI supported. So even if your project is not connected with AI, you still probably you still perform some basic QA activities like writing test cases, checklists. So in this case, AI can also help, and you can get this experience.
I can also add that, for example, to get testing experience in AI in some big companies like PAM, for example, there are some number of ways for it. For example, there are some social projects, there are some volunteer projects where you can, if you have some time, you can participate in it, and they're always they are looking for active people, proactive people who are ready to integrate some new tools, some new technologies there. And this can be as a way to get this experience, yeah, especially in testing world. Cool. Let's move to the next. How to get and improve leading managerial skills if some projects have, I suppose, yeah, all lead roles. Yeah, all lead roles are already taken. What could you suggest, guys?
I don't know why, but we always think about skills only in terms of our professional skills, right? If we're talking about leading and managerial skills, there's something that you can gain anywhere. Try to organize some picnic with your friends. Go to some pub quiz with your friends. Try to connect people who are not so close connected and try to challenge yourself in some ways. So in everyday activities, we also have a lot of leading and managerial skills that we should do inside your family, with your friends, in your sport team, or when you're planning your vacation or holidays, for instance. So any kind of such kind of activity bring you experience in leading and managing actually.
Or just play proactive role on the project, because managers in any project are overloaded every time. So don't hesitate to ask them for assistance. Ask them to delegate some tasks or take some initiatives that nobody wants to take. And this can be a way to your future life as a manager. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, guys. Let's move to the next question. It's a bit long. I will read it. I see. So it's not possible to to move it here. So I see a strong trend of increasing the quantity of skills for testers. If several years ago for QA was enough to know the testing theory, something about microservice architecture, API, databases, SQL, then now they should be full stack specialists with knowledge of programming languages, CI/CD pipelines, be expert in mobile, load, security testing, and other stuff. So, what's your opinion? What do you agree with it about such movement?
I agree, absolutely agree. But to be honest, that's not just trend that we observe in quality assurance. That's a trend that we observe in all IT specialties. The same in development, the same in business analysis, the same even in project and delivery management. So that's true. And of course, in the setup of low demand, of fighting for every particular opportunity and position in company, in competitive market, a lot of companies would like to have some kind, of universal soldiers in the staff. So that's absolutely true. But please pay attention that that's not trend for QA only. That's all the IT trend.
Mm-hmm. True. Cool. We have 3 more questions. We will try to answer them, but we have 3 minutes, so let's try. What kind of questions would you suggest to ask at the end to the interviewer? To the interviewer? Yeah, it's the end. Yeah. So the person who is responsible for holding an interview. Okay.
Yevgeny, let's share about general interview, and I will tell a bit about project interview, right?
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, it's good when you show your interest and ask what will happen, what position can I have, what project do you have, some specifics of the work of the company, and so on. But just keep in mind that it's a technical interview, so the interviewer is not a decision maker. So because some candidate just asking, so will you hire me or not? So this technical interviewer cannot answer this. Yeah.
And regarding project interview, it's important to ask if you used some kind of technology that is applied on the project, how it's used, what is the level of its usage, how we can, did they try something? So if you use the technology that is applicable on the project, and if you understand how to increase it, you may ask question about, hey, did you use it already? And are you planning to use it? Because I can bring it to you. So it's the thing that shows interest on the one hand and how you can make difference to the project on the other hand.
Thank you. And let's ask one more last question for this online session. And dear audience, we will ask all the rest questions in offline mode later on, okay? So the question is probably for Denis, who is playing a hiring manager role. So the question is the following. I successfully interviewed at a pump company for a senior QA automation engineer in Python and received really positive feedback, but I wasn't promoted further due to my salary expectations. I tried to lower my salary expectations a lot to my current company's salary, but it didn't help. What can you advise me?
Mm-hmm. So that's, some kind of political question because, of course, we cannot tell directly about salaries and the salaries that we can promote. We understand that different companies can promote different levels of salary based on the experience. So here I promote you to return in 6 months. Usually, if we rejected some candidate due to any reason, in 6 months, we usually are ready to review the candidate again. And please discuss carefully not just your expectations in 4 digits that you've been expecting, but maybe some kind of intervals that may be interesting for you. And depending on the current demand, depending on the projects and position that we may have, we can discuss it in details later. So you can easily contact our talent acquisition team or HR team to discuss it again, but a bit later.
So if you were declined one time, it's not the reason not to try again. So, and I know for sure several cases when people were finally hired at company after the second or third try, and they are working very good. So, cool. Let's maybe finishing up. Zhenya, Denis, again, thank you so much for coming us today in ProQuality community. We will add all materials to our talk page along with the recording, and we will also send a feedback form with within an hour to get some information that we will take into account to improve our events in future. And before we finish, I would like to invite you to our tomorrow event that we are preparing together. It will be the first event with Anderson IT community, where Tatiana Levkovich will share details what UAT testing is. So guys, please feel free to register to this event. We will share the link right now into the chat, so you can pass registration and join. So that's it for today. Stay tuned. Join ProQuality community in our social network, and may your test always be flawless. Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good rest day.